2025 was such a weak year, man. Movies that should have been masterpieces ended up being just okay, and movies that should have been okay ended up being atrocious. The box office hits were box office shits, and the festival fringe was festival cringe. Last year I felt the need to throw in like 30 random honorable mentions throughout the video. Now I feel like I should have 30 dishonorable mentions with all the garbage this year threw at me. I'm not gonna, I will still shout out some good movies that didn't make it into the list, but just know that the worst of the year category has been by far the most competitive. Anyway, this is how it goes. I'm gonna pick the 5 that did it best, the 5 that tried and failed, and the 5 that didn't try enough. Bear in mind, some movies I may catch a bit late, some movies I may catch a bit early, and some movies I don't watch at all. Fifth Blandest
That was totally wicked!
is what I wish I could say about Wicked 2.
The day you called me wicked too.
I wanted to like this movie so much. I was so excited. I had this elaborate theory about everything that's gonna happen, and everything I predicted did happen. In the lamest way possible. I thought they were going to do way more with their version of the Tin Man and the Wicked Witch of the East. They just kinda did it quick to be done with it. Same with the Scarecrow. If you're gonna be predictable, at least do something cool with it. The Witch of the East becomes wicked for like 20 seconds and then she's dead. And people who really should care just mention it in passing. They check the box and the movie stops caring about them. Like, the reveal is not enough. What matters is how that event affects the rest of the story. And the answer is what rest of the story? The movie does have time for songs.
It's not easy being green.
I do like the songs, though they are a bit of a downgrade from part 1's offering. I think the only reason The Girl in the Bubble exists is that they needed an original song for Ariana Grande so they could win an Oscar. Too bad K-pop Demon Hunters released this year, otherwise they'd have a shot. But they still might win makeup and hair. I did at times forget Cynthia Erivo is not green in real life. It looks flawless. It could have gone so wrong so easily. Or they might win costume design again.
I'm the first black man.
He is? There were reveals I didn't know I was not supposed to know. We all knew that the wizard is her father, right? That's not a spoiler. That wasn't a part of my conspiracy theory. That was in the second scene of the first movie. That's Jeff Goldblum's voice. I thought they figured de-aging looks bad, so it's better to not show his face. But then they make a big deal out of showing his face, and it does look bad. Which makes sense, because if the movie cared about looking bad, it wouldn't be so flat and gray. In relation to the previous movie, the sequel does make it more clear what Wicked as a story is supposed to be. It also makes more unique decisions in regards to art direction and costumes that set it apart from older Oz interpretations and give Wicked its own identity, which were my two main complaints about the first part, and both were addressed here. It made me appreciate the first part more, but otherwise it's pretty dry, predictable, and pale, literally. C tier. Wait, what video is this? Fifth worst. The Other chooses to start off looking like a commercial. I think it's meant to be like a representation of the American dream. For me, it did not work. There's an immediate disconnect where this doesn't feel like a movie and I'm waiting for the glory shots of the vacuum cleaner. The fact that the child character is mute and doesn't have to speak lines almost makes up for the fact that the director doesn't know how to direct child actors.
That's an interesting picture, Ecophilia.
Is that racist? Everyone in this story is the dumbest fuck imaginable. Being horror movie stupid is one thing, it's normal for the genre, but that's when the characters are scared and don't think before they act out of fear. The problem is here, none of the characters are scared at all. No matter what is happening around them, they keep undercutting tension by going, "Ooh, we got pink goo in our pool, spooky lol."
What is that?
Cool. I don't know. I think it's cool.
They're all dipshits. There's this character who's connected to the other side because she has Down syndrome, and at one point she hits the main girl over the head with a hammer, so they go to the doctor and he says,
If Cathelia has another play date with the hammer girl, make it supervised.
"Gee, thanks, doc." Fifth bust. Wolfman, Tron Man, Train Man. So many movies this year were made specifically for autistic people like Rain Man. And to be clear, that's not an insult except for in Tron's case. I'm not the biggest fan of slow movies that have no plot, but like The Whispering Star or Perfect Days, Train Dreams manages to love life enough to get me into a zen mood that keeps me glued to the screen as if I'm watching the best Hitchcock thriller. The acting is top-notch from everybody. I don't believe Felicity Jones actually exists in modern day. I think she's some kind of ghost of acting past that appears every time they make a period piece. The cinematography is just so pleasing and interesting and comforting. In the world of Train Dreams, every single happy moment in your life happens at sunset because that's how you remember them. And for a while it seems like it's sunset all day long, but life goes on. You experience love and loss. Some people that you know die, and your life goes on without them. You start feeling like the world passes you by and you're no longer relevant. You cross paths ever so briefly with people who are on their own journey, and you may not know what brought them to you or how they'll remember you. You live and you feel and you try to do right by others and you try to be happy, and sometimes you succeed. And you know someday your time will be up, and you know someday the world will forget you were even here, but you remember the dark times and you remember the sunsets, and it's all beautiful.
Hey, you'd better hold on to something.
Man, I love trains.
Fourth blandest. Okay, I'm doing a three-way tie since the movies were so bland I literally can't pick. Number 4 goes to Captain America 4, Fantastic Four, and Thunderbolts 4. I can't believe I got duped into watching all 3 of these. Marvel fans, this is the 17th time you're showing me the movie that supposedly saves the MCU, and the MCU is the least saved it's ever been. The best new Avenger is the Toxic Avenger. Gone are the days of actually feeling something in a Marvel movie. Everything the haters used to say is true now. There are no stakes. The characters are all cardboard cutouts. It's all mediocre quips, flashing colors, and people saying the plot out loud because Disney at this point is just assuming you're not paying attention, and I'm not. Fourth worst. After The Hunt takes on the very brave task of setting a movie during the height of the Me Too movement. Whatever it would have been, it was always gonna make some people mad. What it ended up being is a joke.
How bad are you saying?
It's pretty bad.
Everyone is a wild caricature. The students are all a parody of annoying, privileged, entitled, radical feminist, queer, Marxist. And the adults are all, kids are so spoiled. Back in my day, if you got you just sucked it up. I can appreciate taking shots at both sides if you're making a joke. This movie is a joke. This is skit behavior. I can't take you seriously like this. The soundtrack is like spooky ambience overlaid on top of untitled Goose Game music. This movie goes dark places, so dark you can't see them. What's happening? How did we get here? This movie is so bad, even my beloved Michael Stolberg couldn't fix it.
Fix it.
I can't.
Who's the person who can?
I'm the person who can, and I can't.
Fourth best! For me, there were 2 cinematic experiences this year. 2 lonesome movies that I watched at the movie theater and actually felt, wow, that wouldn't have been the same at home. Movies that tell a great story in a great way and use the big screen and big sound system to the max. The first one was Sinners, and the second one is my number 4 pick, Weapons. The structure of this film is just genius. On paper, it's like Rashomon, but nobody lies. You see the same story from different perspectives, and they're all true. A lot of movies that do this often feel like each perspective is really a different narrative, and all the narratives together may serve to present a complex understanding of the event, but really each part has its own beginning, middle, and end. Weapons somehow manages to use this structure and feel like a coherent ensemble film with a beginning, middle, and end. It's gripping to see the story progress in different, unexpected directions. The mystery seems impossible. Some characters' stories end prematurely, but their stories affect the other characters and maybe get them closer to figuring it out. One character may be stuck, but then you switch to another character and they make their own progress. And eventually they may cross paths with the other character and make their story continue. It's smart, it's thrilling, and it was a blast on the big screen. Third Blandest. The main thing that did work about the Wicked movies is that feeling of deep unfairness. There's something that's immediately compelling and heartbreaking in a story about a good person that somehow gets made into an evil monster in the eyes of the public. If you've heard of Blackstone's ratio, it's basically the saying that it's better to have 10 guilty people go free than to have one innocent person wrongfully punished. Seeing decent people villainized, it touches on our basic human sense of justice. Running Man did it, Flying Man did it. Another movie that was really effective in this kind of story was Takashi Miike's new movie Sham. That's worth a watch. And if you like Sham, then you should watch Monster. And if you like Monster, then you should watch Rashomon. And if you like Rashomon, then you should watch High and Low. And if you like High and Low, you should never ever watch Highest to Lowest. Spike Lee really ruined an Asian masterpiece and then said, "Wanna see me do it again?" I don't hate Spike Lee. He's overall a good director, but why is he trying to remake some of the greatest movies of all time? He has nothing new to say about them. Everything new about this version is superficial. It doesn't offer any new perspective or new twists. It's just the same thing but music and in New York. And it trades the neat precision of the original with a confused, over-textual blabber of a presentation that feels like an exercise in vanity. Third worst. I watched a bunch of documentaries this year, if only for lack of anything else to watch. You know how in the last Mission Impossible, every single character tells Ethan how great and awesome and amazing and pure of heart he is every other scene? That's Afternoons of Solitude, except here he's a piece of shit. It tries to create a complex, contemplative view of bullfighting, but people who watched my last video know the John Wicked rule of cinema. The people who abuse animals are the bad guys. When it's not about his entourage jerking him off for 10 minutes straight, it features the longest bullfighting scenes imaginable, like whole VODs of complete fights. And he does this silly face in all of them from beginning to end. I really wanted Afternoons of Solitude to make it into the top 5 worst, just because that's the movie that made me suffer the most. But alas, this year was just shitty enough for it to be barely left out, in favor of a worse documentary.
I had reduced everything to the simple theory that the oppressed are always right and the oppressors are always wrong. A mistaken theory, but the natural result of being one of the oppressors yourself.
2 + 2 = 5, the new Orwell documentary, does feature this Orwell quote, but then proceeds to be a montage of every conflict ever in history, painting a shallow and false equivalence between radically different situations, and without a shade of irony, propagating a theory that Orwell himself called mistaken. The few theoretically good points he tries to make, like the commentary on big tech surveillance or criticism of Russian propaganda, has already been made 1,000 times in a clearer, more reasoned way. Biggest misunderstanding of Orwell since the trailer for Animal Farm starring Seth Rogen that just came out. Strange times. PS regarding AI, not only is the use of it here morally objectionable, it's also very pointless, ugly, obvious, distracting, and lame, and fake, and gay. Old footage looks old. That's fine, it looks appropriate for the time. It's dated for the time that it was shot. It's supposed to look dated. Running old footage through AI cleanup makes it look dated for the time of the AI. This movie, on release, already looks incredibly dated, with awful, terrible last year's AI model. and it's only gonna get worse with time. Yeah, of course it's AI generated, I have my eyes still, thank you. What a stupid decision in a stupid movie. Third best. Don't worry, documentary fans. All three of you. This year was so weak I have a documentary on the best list as well. But it's justified because Hollywood Gate is one of those once-in-a-decade documentaries where you just can't believe what you're seeing on screen is real and was actually filmed in our universe. The filmmaker got unbelievable access to filming the Taliban during their first year after taking power in Afghanistan. Balls of steel on this man. He got access by promising to make a movie that's favorable to the regime.
اول میگه مبارزه یک فیلم مثل سریال جو میگه نه سریال که خود خیالات است این واقعیته که طالبان مثلا زندگی اجتماعیشون زندگی انفرادی خانوادگیشون زندگی اول تدریبات نظامی رو میگیری خیلی بخشا رو میگیری.
But he kept filming all the time, so it's not a Taliban propaganda movie. It's a behind-the-scenes look at the Taliban trying to direct a propaganda movie. They stage a scene where an anti-regime fighter threatens a civilian. Then the Taliban save him. They keep telling the documentarist, don't film this, don't film that. This is where we keep the weapons. Don't film those. They're in embarrassing condition. We can't have the Chinese see that. Okay, don't film now. We're going to kill some people. He's not really resisting their attempts to promote their narrative. On the contrary, he lets them lead, which makes them comfortable with him and allows him to catch real moments that tell a different story. Some of these moments would be fucking hilarious if they weren't sad. Like a room filled with high-ranking leaders that all conclude that 67 times 100 equals 67,000. But not before one guy insists it's 210,000. What do you have to say about that? 2 plus 2 equals 5. Nothing, that's what I thought. Or you have these little moments like a Taliban officer throwing garbage out the window, which probably gives you a hint about how he really feels about his country. Every scene in this movie shows you something that you just have to see to believe, and believe me, you have to see it. Second Blandest. If there was one genre that gave a good showing this year, it was foreign thrillers. It was just an accident and no other choice got a lot of buzz around them, and rightfully so, they're very good. Bugonia is a remake of a foreign thriller and that was pretty good. There's two that I watched that I thought were underrated. The first one is No One Will Know. It's about a group of people in a bodega where someone wins the lottery but then gets robbed and shot in the process. The other people in the store immediately apprehend the robber, but then decide to cover up the crime to split the lottery winnings between themselves. Which turns out to be a very complex task that just gets more complex as time goes by. The second underrated one was Islands, which I felt was a very sensitive, neo-noir inspired movie about a past his prime tennis player who gets personally tangled in something bigger after one of his students' fathers disappears. One that did not get a lot of buzz and was not underrated was Case 137. I wish I could say something about this movie. I don't remember anything. Anything. It's about the police, I guess. I didn't watch it that long ago. That's impressively forgettable. Second worst.
כמו שהזכרנו מקודם, הסרט של גיאה היה פלופ עצום. כל הסרט הזה יכול להתלוות רק עם הסאונד אפקט הזה. אבל...
In these 5 seconds, Gal Gadot showed more emotions than she did her entire career. It's like everyone on the set of Snow White had a competition to see who can do their job worse as a joke at the expense of the Disney shareholders. And the joke is very funny. The protagonist and antagonist battle it out to see who can deliver the cringiest performance in all of the land. The set design is just toyish and bad. The CGI characters are an uncanny valley disaster. The lighting is stupid. The writing is stupid. Someone said, "Bro, what if the mirror told the evil queen Snow White is prettier on the inside?" And then she's like, "Snow White is a better person than me? Kill her!"
תסגרו את הטלוויזיה, אני לא רוצה לראות או לשמוע את הדבר הזה. מה רואים פה?
שלגיה.
Second best. Last year, I said Netflix stopped making interesting movies. This year, I don't know what to say about what I said last year. Netflix made the most interesting movies in this shitty-ass year. Train Dreams, K-pop Demon Hunters, Frankenstein. And my number 2 pick, Wake Up Dead Man. Wake up, babe, the new Knives Out is peak. When the twist came, I thought, isn't it too early for a twist? And then came another twist and another and another. I swear Ryan Johnson went to the supermarket and bought a family pack of Twisters and then went home and ate the whole thing and then wrote the twistiest script ever. Not only is this his smartest mystery yet, it's surprisingly his most moving one. Blandest movie of the year. Dean DeBlois and Chris Sanders are the writers and directors of such animated classics as Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon. June 2025 was a great month for destroying their legacy. I didn't see Lilo and Stitch, I heard it's shit. I like the director though, so I'm glad he got a big paycheck, good for him. I did see How to Train Your Dragon because I love How to Train Your Dragon. I think the first 2 movies are absolute masterpieces. I was just at the right age for them. Seeing Hiccup grow in real time between 1 and 2 made me feel like I'm growing up with him. Many people a bit older than me felt that way about Harry Potter. For me, it was Hiccup. So I have deep nostalgia for these movies. I think the music is just genius. Dean did return to direct this one. Good for him too, I guess. He got paid again to make the same movie but uglier and longer for no good reason.
When I finished How to Train Your Dragon 3, I thought I had put a period on the end of that sentence. It was a complete story, and then I was going to move on to different worlds, different characters, different stories. And I did so for several years. Writing new stories and setting them up and writing scripts. None of them were getting made.
Actually, I changed my mind. What a sad state the industry is in. Get this man out of dragon jail. I don't want to see him spend the next decade of his life on remakes. Let him make the movies he wants to make.
I don't even like the trend of live-action remakes.
I say uglier. The fidelity of the visuals is obviously improved, but the new realistic dragon designs are just charmless. The only one who keeps his design personality is Toothless, but then his cartoony ass feels out of place among the other dragons in the photorealistic world. The guy who plays Hiccup is good, but he's too old. Great jawline. He looks the right age for Hiccup in the second movie, not the first. No new generation of kids is gonna grow up with him. He's already grown. In The Black Phone 2, the guy's chain smoking. I mean, come on. Gerard Butler comes back as Stoic. He's great, definitely too old. The non-gray beard just looks funny on that face. You know what they should have done? They should have brought everyone back. That was a great cast. Jay Baruchel was great. You just need to maybe rework the story a little bit. Stoic can be like, Hiccup, you're 40 years old. Get out of the basement already and kill a dragon, you loser. At least that would be new. They did the same music again, almost 1-to-1. The composer, John Powell, also returned for the remake, which might explain why it's so similar. Some people complained that they ruined the soundtrack. Sounds about the same to me, but the scenes are shot differently, so the musical moments are out of sync with the movie. They did change the titles of the tracks to add more words. So like Forbidden Friendship is now called A Really Forbidden Friendship. And I think that's just a perfect representation of this movie. Just adds more words for the sake of bloat. If I could switch around one crew member of any 2 movies this year, I would have John Powell write a new score for Superman, because that movie desperately needed a brand new fresh theme, and Powell's style is just perfect for it. And I'd have the Superman composers, who reworked the classic Superman theme, do the new How to Train Your Dragon, because that movie really needed a more different reimagining of John Powell's themes, in the vein of what those guys did to Superman. I just have to say, we're officially entering the era of live-action remakes for 3D animated movies. Can we just try remasters. Just try one. Video games have been doing it successfully for a while. Live action movies are being remastered all the time. The only thing that doesn't hold up in the first How to Train Your Dragon is the dated animation quality. Lighting simulation, cloth, hair, water all came a long way since 2010. You don't have to redo the whole thing. Well, you have to base data, I guess. I don't know anything about 3D animation, but it can't be more difficult than making a new movie from scratch. Keep the original voices, keep the music, keep the art direction. Those were all amazing. Refurbish the models, incorporate the new fancy tech to make the simulation look on par with the sequels, maybe even better. Master it in 4K HDR, that's also a thing. The original is stranded on 1080p. If you buy the 4K Blu-ray, that's actually an AI upscale. The movie was never exported in 4K. So, do it in the new standard format with beautiful visuals that are loyal to the spirit of the original. Bada bing, bada bank, you make a lot of money. I think people will see it for the same reason people are seeing the new one. There's no need for all this.
You just gestured to all of me.
Worst movie of the year. Calling War of the Worlds an Amazon commercial is an insult to Amazon commercials, because those have better acting. I had a blast watching this movie. I actually cried laughing. All the biggest drama happens in the FBI's Microsoft Teams chat. They shot this movie during COVID. They had 5 years to do post-production, and the VFX still looks like a stock effect that you would do on a phone app in 2011. This is the richest company on earth. Amazon says tech surveillance is bad, when it's the government doing it. The same year, Amazon unveils a literal mobile surveillance tower. Then Ice Cube saves the world with Prime same-day delivery. The aliens eat Facebook for food. And the #1 best movie of 2025 is The Brutalist. Yes, this year was so bad, the best movie of the year came out last year. I had a feeling I was gonna love this movie. I even used footage from it last year when I said there are movies I didn't get a chance to see yet. In much of the world, it didn't come out before March 2025. Around that time, I was finishing my short film, A Graying Lunatics Song, which I'll tell you all about sometime, subscribe to stay tuned. And my school sent it to what is supposedly a very prestigious color grading studio, where all the biggest films in the country are graded. Wow, I thought, how great. And going there was an eye-opening experience, because I finally saw the behind the scenes of why movies look like that today. I wanted a contrasty movie. I felt so much resistance from the colorist. For every shot I had to say, let's bring up the highlights. More, let's have highlights. More. And I had to say it like 8 times. He was arguing with me that we can't have true blacks in a movie because that would mean losing detail. Bro, the details are trash. Sometimes literally the details are a trash can. I don't want the details. I want a dark, inky black night. And he kept insisting that that's somehow objectively wrong.
Literally, major portions of members on your body. So it's more dramatic.
See, the girl from Castration movie knows what I'm talking about. By the way, that was a cool little no-budget anthology movie about kind of underground LGBT and 4chan culture. Very raw stuff. Interesting to see. I'm getting distracted. Right, so after that, going to see The Brutalist. Holy hell. Where are the details, asshole? It's so beautiful, so refreshing to see in a desert of muddy movies. It's one of those movies that keeps a moment-to-moment suspense without truly revealing its cards until the end. It flows from one scene to the next. You get invested in this building and that project, in what's gonna happen to the characters, but there's something about it that seems like it's stumbling along aimlessly, until the ending brings it all together and recontextualizes the entire thing. I think that's also what Adrian Brody tried to do in his acceptance speech, but that didn't stick a landing. The ending of the movie hit me so hard. That feeling of just trying to live your life, to create your art and exist as an equal. And the world seems to, maybe not always outwardly, but subtly and inherently not want you because of the group you were born into. I can see why it resonated with so many people from very different backgrounds. and especially with Jewish people. That's it. That's all for this year. Let me know your picks in the comments. See you in the next one. Happy New Year!